Hey everybody, this is Bruce Robison, and this is Real Life, Real Music.
Real Life, Real Music Radio with your host, Kyle Hutton.
Man. Wow, that's, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
When do I get to cuss?
Whenever you want.
I couldn't get it straight.
Whenever you want. Here's the deal. And you can appreciate this, right? Our last show in May will be our most edited show.
Okay.
Because it was your friend Jack Ingram.
Oh, yeah.
So, listen, pretty much, I don't even think you can touch the hem of that garment.
No, I think that was good.
I'm not worried about that. I was
glad. Him and Charlie were always the sliding scale that made me look better. So, my whole career on,
but
being a response to that.
What's funny is I'm going to ask you a question real quick. I'm looking for the text. You've met because we've worked together in Steamboat for so many years. Our engineer that edits our show and does a lot of our live stuff with us at Steamboat. His name's Michael Razmondi. We call him Raz. Mm-hmm. And he's a great friend. Dude. And he's the one that's going to have to edit out any of your cuss words.
Okay.
And he actually sent a request. And I'm going to read it because, you got to hear it. Because you got to hear it the way Raz would say it. Dude, I would lose my mind if you got Bruce to do that Leanne Womack cut he wrote, Blame It On Me, tonight. Oh, wow. That song is nails, LOL.
Now, is Nails good?
Nails is solid.
Is it? Okay.
Nails is solid. So,
wow.
That, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions tonight. And normally, I make it artist choice, but Raz has never asked for a request.
You're kidding.
Before.
Wow, that's great.
So, I wonder if you would tell us a little bit about Blame It On Me, and I wonder if you play it.
Sure, you bet. I'd love to. Well, good evening, everyone. What a beautiful place to be, and what a wonderful thing y'all got going on here, and what an honor it is to be here and play some songs for you where you're trapped and can't go anywhere. Yeah, that's the best. And that is such a cool request when you get one of these big artists to cut your song and record the song. There's so many different steps of, you hear about it, you write it, and you pitch it, and you hear about it, and then sometimes they'll talk about cutting it, or they won't, or what they will, but this is one that was a wonderful thing. But then when you get it on the record, then you hope that it's released as a single to where people will hear it and everything. But Leanne Womack, I just think is one, maybe the greatest country singer of our generation. She's like Tammy Wynette or something like that, And so it was a really beautiful thing to. She cut a couple of my songs, and this wasn't a single, but she did a beautiful version of it. And I'm hoping I can remember how it goes. You're standing there, that look in your eye. You're looking for good ways to tell me goodbye. Something about people, how they never know they're loving somebody and then letting them go. You're looking for reasons, there ain't no need. Blame it on me. You can blame it on me. I was the one acting like real life was some old love song. I held you too close, couldn't let go. Can't lose your cool these days, I know. So I'll go on home and you can feel free. blame it on me. Hey, I am too rough, I work too hard, I got no cool friends, I drive an old car. I'm not the picture of anyone's dreams, handful of blue bonnets and boots and old jeans. You're looking for reasons and there ain't no need. You can blame it on me. You can blame it on me. I was the one acting like real life was some old love song. I held you too close, couldn't let go. You can't lose your cool these days, I know. So I'll go on home and you can feel free to blame it on me. You start looking for ways out of love, then I've been making mistakes by the dozen. So if you want to leave, you can blame it on me. I held you too close, I couldn't let go. Can't lose your cool these days, I know. So I'll go on home and you can feel free. Blame it on me. On me. On Dave. Wow, thanks, Raz, wherever you are tonight. What a beautiful. I didn't have that on my list at all. What a nice thing.
Man. You're welcome.
Man, that's wonderful. Need to call him and see what else he suggests.
I could text him now. No.
That's hard. I didn't think I was going to remember the words to that song.
Dude, you got it.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, but yeah, and that one I like that song, and that people don't really know that one, so that's cool.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful song. You know, Bruce, like, you know, it's awkward in the human experience sometimes to try to express yourself, and unfortunately, you know, I and my family have been the recipient of people, you know, doing their best to try to express themselves. But I think, you know, I'd be remiss for me and, you know, like the whole Real Life Real Music community, and I know fans sitting in the audience right here, if I didn't tell you how sorry we were to hear about your brother, and Charlie's passing.
Yeah,
and,
I appreciate that, and I know my whole family does, and it was such a amazing experience to see the outpouring of affection for Charlie, and just having a concrete example of just how many people that knucklehead from Bandera, Texas, touched with his life, you know, and it was an amazing thing to see, you know. I was just from around the world, you know, and they showed his picture on the Grammys, and so it was as hard as that has to be for any family that go through. It was really wonderful to see just how he touched people's lives. It's you know, it's inspiring.
Yeah. Dare I tell you the way that Charlie touched my life?
Yeah. You wouldn't be alone. You know?
Oh man, Bruce,
you wouldn't be alone.
Charlie and I did. I got hired to be the opener for my buddy was throwing a deal at his ranch in Lakey, Texas, and it was the 4th of July thing, and it was, hey man, we're gonna have Charlie Robison, and we want you to come, out and bring your band and open the show. And so I'm like, cool. So we go out there, and we get out there, and the stage is set up, and I mean it's cold, and no, it wasn't 4th of July. It was like a Thanksgiving deal or something, because I remember it was cold and it was raining. And we got out there and we sound checked after Charlie got done, and he came out and I introduced myself, and he said, well, come on the bus. And so we went up on the bus, and we walked past a couple of guys. I guess they were his band guys, and we walked past a couple of guys, and he said something pretty stern to them. I don't know what I don't know exactly what they had done or whatever. And we walked back to the back room, and he shut the door, and he looked at me. So this is what Charlie Robison taught me. He said, sometimes you got to be a dick.
Sometimes, huh?
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Duly noted. And I'll also say that he came and did our show, Real Life Real Music, after he released the Beautiful Day record, and man, that was fun, and also learned another lesson, and I think it probably applies to you and maybe even Robin as well. I don't know, but that's, don't try to drink whiskey with the Robisons.
No, yeah, that's true. We had a lot of practice, but yeah, he loved to have a good time. Yeah, and he lived life to the fullest. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I don't. This request could be out of line or it could be fine. I don't know which one right now, but I'm going to ask it anyway because you can say no. We may even edit the video podcast. But I got to say, man, I think the most moving song for me that you've written, and you have so many in your catalog that have done so well for so many artists. But for me personally, I think my favorite song is My Brother and Me.
Oh, thank you. That's probably my favorite song that I've written as well.
Will you play it?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. You bet. This is a song that I wrote at a time when I wasn't really doing anything with my music. I was trying to get started, but I just was at a complete standstill. And I was driving a truck. I was driving a bobtail truck, delivering kind of prefab cabinets, and complaining about it to a girlfriend of mine. And she said, "Well, you're a trucker. Why don't you write a trucking song?" And I started this song called "Oh My God, I'm a Trucker." But then I took her advice, which I think was write about something that you know about, something that you know. And so when I had this little guitar figure that I figured out, and when I started thinking about my family, it just kind of came out real quick. Grandpa Charlie smoked and drank whiskey, but he died in 43. Nobody like him in all my kin until my brother and me. He died in a small town so far back they didn't know what hit him, maybe heart attack. That was a drag on my grandma, you know she never really forgave him for that. Most every year on Christmas Day, my dad and me go down where he lay. I don't know what kind of man he'd be, but he'd like my brother and me. Grandmama married a man she found even before Granddaddy hit the ground. Took 45 years, but what do you know? Well, he turned that right around. Grandma would tell about the family, how they come on over from Germany. Oma and Opa was hard folks, though you know how them Germans can be. When she died, we cried and sang that day with the guitars tuned to the doghouse bass. Nobody sings down low and sweet, not like my brother and me. Yeah, my great-grandpappy on my mother's side made a whole lot of money before he died. He was a wildcatter and in the clan besides, and that was a matter of pride. Never wondered where great-grandpappy went. He lit a cigar neath the oxygen tent. A man of secrets I'll never know, like a letter never sent. They're all living like they should, but all the money in the world didn't do them no good. Their daughter went and married an old hayseed, and they had my brother and me. Say about the small town, take the boy out of Bandera, not the other way around. I don't know, but man, it's true, those bright lights will get you down. I'm gonna stay on the old concrete, 'cause them city girls, they smell so sweet. And I don't know what the hell they see, but they like my brother and me. They like my brother and me. They still like my brother a little more than they do me, but they like my brother and me. We go down to the spur some night and listen to the river neath the pale moonlight, and tell our old buddies what it's like to be just like my brother and me. Just like my brother and me. Don't mess with my brother and me. Just like my brother and me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you so much.
Man, thank you. Love that song. All right. Well, before we start talking about Bandera and kind of delving further back into your career, I want to just jump right out there and ask you about what I would consider one of the mega hits that I'm sure changed your life as a songwriter. And because, you know, as a songwriter who hasn't had a big mega hit like this, I'm interested to know what it feels like. Tim
I don't know what you're talking about, but it feels good.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
tell you, it feels good.
So Tim McGraw cuts the song,
Right.
Angry All the Time.
Mm-hmm.
First off, like, man, that song is like, I mean, not only is it like solid, but it is like piercing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
wow. Thank you, Kyle.
Relationally. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's almost like, did he really just write a song that honest?
Man, when I was growing up in Bandera in the 70s, all of our friends, we had one friend whose parents didn't divorce horribly. You know, it was just like throwing dishes and we were all latchkey kids, and so And so everybody related in that, that was, at least in that little town, it was like the first wave of, when my folks got split up, nobody was doing that, at least in Bandera, they weren't. And then it happened to all of my friends. And so we were all just kind of, that was how we stuck together through all the time there. And so, that was the germ of that, and then also, I know you like talking about influence and stuff, but definitely, the Willie Nelson songs and Guy Clark songs, and that my mom listened to, that they were dealing with those sorts of things, the Willie Nelson record, Phases and Stages, which is a really intense record, and I was hearing that my whole life, even when I was way too young to understand what they were talking about. But that was just what country music sounded like to me. And so that was kind of where that song came from, was out of that experience. But yeah, that was neat playing that song that Leanne cut, because I assumed that was when I said, I'm gonna be a songwriter and this is a cool thing, but I just assumed that the best I could hope for was like that, where that was like an album cut, because I wasn't hearing songs like that on the radio. Like, really, all my songs were, at the time, were pretty sad for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure, but they were, and I wasn't hearing any songs like that on the radio. So that I thought that was very out of the ordinary, and then I didn't even know they were looking at it, and they cut the song. Well, actually, the way that it happened, I recorded it, and we put it out. I was on Sony at the time, and Faith Hill sent word. She asked me to open up a string of shows because she loved that song. And I wasn't able to do that, and I wasn't able to connect with her at all, but I knew that was kind of on her radar. Mm-hmm. And that she had heard the song, or saw the video, actually. Okay. And then they were playing it live, and we drove up to Dallas to see him play it, and went backstage. And Tim was like, yeah, she was going to cut it, but I told her it has to be a man,
Really? So Faith was playing it live?
No. Faith had it on her. Well, she said she had it on her pile of songs for her next record.
Okay. All right.
And Tim said, I call him Tim. Tim said he took it away and said, no, a guy has to sing this song. And so I never told him that it was written from the point of view of a woman, and it's never been cut by a woman. I think it's very different in that way, the way it comes off. But I don't know that a woman has ever recorded it before. But so Tim recorded the song, and Faith sang it with him, and it wasn't the first single, and they said that the people at radio were asking for it, and so they released it, and it was a big hit, and it did change my life. It was an amazing, incredible thing. And then after we had one song do well, I was like, well, man, maybe we can do some more, but it really changed. It changed the way that I looked at myself and my songs, and it's just such a wonderful thing for that to give you that kind of a boost, and to make you feel like you're worthwhile.
Awesome. You play that one for us?
Sure. Nothing else about that. Yeah, they did an incredible. I can still remember the first time I heard them, and there's that old guy. A Town song where he says, I guess he's talking about Nashville, but he says, I still like the system here. The bottom's low and the treble's clear, and I think of that whenever, because man, when they put that thing on your song and you hear it back and it's like, it's just huge. It's the craziest feeling. And I can still remember when they sent me whatever it was on, some little thing that I got to put it in and listen to it, and it just sounded so huge. I couldn't believe it. Here we are, what is left of a husband and a wife, 4 good kids who have a way of getting on with their lives. I'm not old, but I'm getting a whole lot older every day. It's too late to keep from going crazy. I got to get away. The reasons that I can't stay don't have a thing to do with being in love. And I understand that loving a man shouldn't have to be this rough. You ain't the only one who feels like this world left you far behind. I don't know why you gotta be angry all the time. Our boys are strong, the spitting image of you when you were young. I hope someday they can see past what you have become. And I remember every time I said I'd never leave. But what I can't live with is memories of the way you used to be. The reasons that I can't stay don't have a thing to do with being in love. And I understand that loving a man shouldn't have to be this rough. You ain't the only one who feels like this world left you far behind. I don't know why you gotta be angry all the time. "20 years have came and went since I walked out of your door. I never quite made it back to the one I was before. And God, it hurts me to think of you, for the light in your eyes was gone. Sometimes I don't know why this old world can't leave well enough alone. The reasons that I can't stay don't have a thing to do with being in love. And I understand that loving a man shouldn't have to be this rough. You ain't the only one who feels like this world left you far behind. I don't know why you gotta be angry all the time. I don't know why you gotta be angry all the time. I don't know why you gotta be angry all the time. Thanks for these requests, Kyle. That's nice. You are going to get through the good songs really fast if you keep going this way. I usually spread them out a little more.
They're all good songs. You're underestimating the value of your complete catalog. Man, are y'all doing okay out there? Is everybody good? Hey, by the way, you know, we've kind of been learning as we go on this show, and if you like need something to drink or need to get up and go to the bathroom or whatever, like do it, you know. Just don't be loud, or the folks in San Luis Obispo, California will call me and go, dude, what was up with that guy? So your wait staff will come around and, you know, bring you drinks, whatever. Y'all have a good time. Okay, so Bruce, while I'm thinking about it, because I totally forgot to do it during the Jack show, and every once in a while I forget, but I need to get a liner to start the radio program, if you would. So this is Bruce Robison, and this is Real Life, Real Music, and then I need you guys to go like absolutely nuts, okay? All right? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, for about 4 minutes, and then I'm going to cut. No, I'm kidding. When I go like this, we've got enough, okay?
Hey, everybody, this is Bruce Robison, and this is Real Life, Real Music. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Brian showed up on a Monday night. This is awesome. Okay, so let's talk about Bandera, Texas. I mean, Dad's a football coach.
Yep.
You guys are like working hard on the farm and doing the things that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about the early life, and like you mentioned, your mom listening to Guy Clark, and
Right.
like where did the musical influence come from? But before that, just tell us a little bit about like growing up in the household.
Well, Bandera is a cool place. It's still a cool place. And in the 70s, it was off the hook. And but there was a couple of sides of the music that I now think that was a really that now over years, when you learn more about folks and friends and everybody, and that I thought that was glad about my experience that might have been a little different than a lot of folks. Bandera, there was just music everywhere. There was a club called the Cabaret that touring acts came through, and even though it was such a small town, there was George Jones and Johnny Paycheck and a lot of more regional people like Stoney Edwards and Daryl McCall and Johnny Bush had a lot of hits. They were all playing at the Cabaret all the time, and so that was just a regular way of life, that there was music everywhere. And then Archie Blues, Silver Dollar, that was always music in there, and it was all around you in a way that really I don't think it's not that way in every little town, and then my grandmother, my dad's mom, she was a really cool German lady who was like really the matriarch of our family, and we would go to the dance halls with her, and she liked to drink beer and country dance, and she taught us all how to two-step, and was just she said, I want to be buried with $5 in my hand for beer on the other side. And we did that. And that was the one thing that I remember her saying, about that at the end. But she, Robin, definitely my little sister, whom my grandmother really raised pretty much. We were going to those dance halls and having a good time, and that's the way we grew up, And so that was besides really just being enamored of those types of songs and listening to them is growing up there was I think a little different in a cool way.
Yeah.
That got me. We had a little rock band, and that I played in, and that I never expected to be in the music business at all. That didn't seem like something that was possible. But music was everywhere, and it was everything to me. I couldn't imagine, having that be something that I did, but it was pretty much all that I cared about.
Yeah. And you moved to Bandera when you were 4, but you started life in Houston, right?
I did. And right when we moved to Bandera, that was when Willie was living in Bandera, and he moved to Austin in 70. And a lot of his folks were still there in town, and I knew a lot of those guys, and they brought an influence in there. Yeah. And when he was living in Bandera was when he was playing at Floors every Wednesday, and where he was just seemed like when he was getting. I never really talked to him about it, but when he was just trying, kind of getting together his next move, Yeah. And but yeah, I moved there in 70.
So since you're talking about Willie, you wrote a song about Willie.
I did, yeah.
And I just want to gift this to any of you that have not heard this song before, because it's a great song. And have you played this for Willie?
No, I haven't.
All right,
I haven't. No,
right. I think he would like it a lot.
I think he would too. He's quoted it in 2 of his books.
That's awesome.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
And I read those books, and they're not It's the only song that's quoted in there by the greatest songwriter ever.
There you go.
So I'm no graduate of college, but to me, if the greatest songwriter quotes one song, that probably means it's the greatest song ever.
It's probably exactly what it means.
I think that's mathematically. I don't know transitive, quantitative. I don't know any of that. But anecdotally, I think I was mowing the yard one day, and I didn't see Willie, but I was in Nashville. And we were staying at the same hotel with the crew, and we got up that morning, and remember Pootie, he was out there, and we were talking, and I had just had this. I was like, wow, those guys are something else. That whole crew, and I was like, I don't know if I could just live with those folks for 40 years, and then I went to this little kind of meet and three place in Nashville, and one of these country legends walks up and past and had that 1,000-mile stare, Yeah. It's really weird that you kind of sometimes see from the folks that have been living in the public eye for that long. And both of those things, I just thought, how crazy it is that Willie seems so present and so cool. And I don't know about y'all, but you never hear him being mean to anybody. And so when I'm mowing the yard and I'm thinking about him, and I plug him into the Jesus story as best as I can remember it. And by the time I mowed this little yard, it was done. I had to move some verses around, but it's my spiritual for sure. I was lost in trouble and strife. I heard a voice and it changed my life, and now it's a brand new day. And I ain't ashamed to say, you're not alone when you're down and out. I think you know who I'm talking about when I don't know how I'll get through. I ask myself, hey, what would Willie do? Long ago, he came unto us. His words, they were simple, but they went right through us. And the whole world sang along. But then they didn't want to hear his songs. And he was gone. And we thought we'd lost him, but he just grew his hair out and he moved to Austin. And all the people smiled. They came to hear him sing from miles. And like a miracle, all the rednecks and the hippies from New York City down to Mississippi stood together and they raised the brew. When your skies are gray, hey, what would a Willie do? Sometimes I still wonder, when I ain't getting nowhere, what would old Willie do when things get too much to bear? And I can see him sitting on his lonely old bus, and he's got his problems just like any of us. And I bet he'd just take a deep breath and let all them problems go. Take another deep breath and let them all go. Take another deep breath, and they'd hold it. And then I bet he'd feel hungry in a way that seems strange. Yes, hungry for all the things he just can't change, like the time he passed out in his own bedroom. And his ex-wife sewed him up in the sheet, and and she beat him with a broom, and he forgave her. And you think that that's rough. Well, then the IRS came and they took away all his stuff. They took his golf course and his recording studio, and he just went on out and did another 10,000 shows. When it's all coming down on you, I think you better ask yourself, hey, what would Willie do? Hey, what would Willie do? He travels far with nothing but a song and an old guitar and a tour bus and some semi-trucks and 30 crewmen and a little bit of luck. He loves all the people, the rank and the randy. If you don't believe it, take a look at the family. They're gonna tell you that it's true. When your skies are gray, hey, what would a Willie do? Hey, what would Willie do? He's gonna take a little time, and he talked to old Gator as they drive on down that line. There's millions down that road, and with a word he's gonna lighten their load. He loves all the people, no matter their races. Hell, he even made a hit country song with Julio Iglesias. And that ain't easy to do. But when it's all too much, what would Willie when the game gets rough? Yeah, what would Willie when they call your bluff? Yeah, what would Willie do? Well done. Yeah, well done, everybody. Yeah, well,
Wow.
Thank you for Chris. That's been long enough. Those jokes were pretty old for them. Now they're old enough where maybe some people hadn't heard them, which is a nice
Man.
renewing.
I knew we needed to go to church tonight. And that's about as close as we're going to get. Are y'all doing okay out there? Cheers, Bruce.
Cheers, man.
Thanks for being here. All right. So, let's talk about Houston for a minute. 4 years there. I don't know, how much musical inspiration you got, but I'm going to tell you, for me, I lived in Houston till I was 11 years old. A Houston area. I spent first year of my life in League City. Don't remember much about that. 5 years in Katy, Texas. 5 years in Friendswood, Texas, before we moved north to Dallas. But a lot of cool stuff happened for me musically in Houston, including first concert my dad ever took me to was the Gatlin Brothers and Lonnie Anderson at the
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
At the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
Wow.
And I can't tell you. Yeah, I can't tell you how many songs or how many concerts I saw in the Astrodome. I watched Nolan Ryan pitch a no-hitter in the Astrodome, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you, it was a little bit anticlimactic. I got to play the hideout stage at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
Yeah.
The last year it was in the Astrodome.
Yeah.
But that was after Hurricane Katrina, when they had housed everybody in there. And it was not the same Astrodome I'd been to as a kid. But look, hey, you got to take the attaboys when you can get them.
Yep.
So you put out a song not too long ago. I don't remember how many years back. You put out a song called Astrodome.
Well, yeah, me and Jack wrote that. I did.
Really? You and Jack wrote it?
Yeah, we both. He grew up in the Woodlands, I guess, and even though I moved away when I was 4, that was such a magical place. Do y'all go to the Astrodome when you were growing up? I mean, God, I saw demolition derbies there, and I saw circuses there, and just they had everything there. It was crazy. It was the eighth one of the world. It was great. It was just magical. The
fireworks coming out of the bull's nostrils.
Totally. And so. The inspiration with that song is that I told Jack, I was like, I wish they'd tear it down. It was such a magical thing. Yeah. And then when I'm going by it, it's so sad seeing it there.
Right.
And so that was kind of the idea, and he liked it too. And we couldn't get going on it for a while until I just kind of had this idea of this fellow whose life didn't kind of go the way he wanted to, and so he just figured he'd just go on down, and sit there, with all of his dreams and stuff. But I like that, and it was such a magical thing. But I played it. They have the Songwriter Hall of Fame, and I played the thing, and I got off stage, and waiting there was Mac Davis, and he said, the Astrodome was amazing, and he said they brought me back for one of the last shows, and I played there, and he said, and I always like to tell jokes, and it had the biggest delay of anywhere I ever heard, and I'd say the joke, and then like 4 or 5 seconds go by, and then all this laughter would go, and he said he'd have to wait there, and he said he took his kids back and to see it. And they said, "Oh, is that it?" And he was like, "Well, no, that's where
that's not what I remember.
That's where the Texans play." And is that is? Well, no, that's where the Astros play now. It's like that's a little thing over there. But he was the same, where it was like it was this kind of larger than life thing, From so that was the basis of this song. Yeah. Listen to the old men talk about the good old days. Oh, and this is total Jerry Jeff song too. Listen to the summer wind blowing through the trees. It's Jerry Jeff walking. There was a time when every morning was a hope and a wonder, and every day was plans for shaking up the world. And every night was crackling like the thunder, full of oil field money and holy hell Houston girls. As I roll out on the ocean of cars on 610, I'm gonna go on down, sit in the Astrodome. Just me and you and all of them blue faded memories. I'm gonna go on down, sit in the Astrodome, and wonder whatever ever became of me. Take another drag from the sick, gonna kill you. Take another drag from end to end on Main. Take another pull from the bottle there, but still you can't get away from how the days all feel exactly the same. And I've been to love, glean and something, rust and steel and stone. I'm gonna go on down, sit in the Astrodome. Just me and you, all of them blue and faded memories. I'm gonna go on down, sit in the Astrodome, and wonder whatever ever became of me. All of them things are still there if you look for them, built up to the sky for all the world to see. Fallen tiles and dusty piles, the dreams of men, as the winners write down the lines of history. In the middle of the gleaming, shining, and rusting steel and stone, I'm gonna go on down, sit in the Astrodome. Just me and you, all of them blue faded memories. I'm gonna go on down, sit in the Astrodome, and wonder whatever ever became of me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle. Good call.
Well, man, that's kind of how I felt after sitting in what they gave us as a green room at the Astrodome. Can I play you a Houston song?
Yeah, man.
So, spent the first 10 years of my life in Houston. My family's really from Houston. My dad grew up in Alvin, Texas, and his claim to fame is that Nolan Ryan was in the Army Reserves with him. And
okay.
And they would they'd play baseball against the other Army Reserve units, and Nolan was their pitcher. But my grandma used to talk about Nolan. He was she always had to get on to him. She was the Sunday school teacher at the Heights Baptist Church in Alvin, Texas, and Nolan was one of the more unruly children in the church. But anyway, so my family is from Houston. My dad, considers himself a country boy, and then my mom, she grew up in the suburbs of Houston at the time in a new neighborhood called West University back in the day, when it was one of the last stops on the trolley. And anyway, so I got pretty schooled in Houston as a city and all the different parts and where to go and where not to go and all that good stuff. And I got the idea from this song. I was on a plane headed from Houston to New York, and I get all my good songs that have anything to do with Jesus when I'm judging other people. So, that's where this one came from. I got on this plane and I was sitting there. And have you ever been on a plane where you're kind of sitting there and you're like, you see the people get on the plane and you immediately are like, not by me. Shaking. You put your head down and act like you're looking at the magazine or whatever you're doing, and here they come. And this couple came and sat down next to me. And I mean, from the second they sat down, it was about the width of the seat. It was about, the fact they weren't in first class. There was a lot of complaining going on, and it was like 2 minutes into the flight. And so they got out their pamphlets for where they were headed, and they were going through New York, headed over to the Holy Land. And I thought, you guys could meet Jesus in Houston. So I wrote this deeply spiritual song about. Anyway, that's just the truth. If Jesus lived in Houston, he'd walk down Quitman Street, where you can find a dime bag or anything you need. See the hooker at the corner crying at his feet. If Jesus lived in Houston, he'd walk down Quitman Street. If Jesus lived in Houston, he'd stroll through River Oaks. Talk with politicians, tax collectors, finer folks. He'd start each conversation with his favorite lawyer jokes. Sorry, West Webb. If Jesus lived in Houston, he'd stroll through River Oaks. Yeah, and he'd tell us that we need him and tell us that he loves us, but most would just ignore him and we'd go on with our lives. But he'd say this ground is holy, 'cause we're all walking on it. Holy land that's worth enough to die. If Jesus lived in Houston, he'd walk Montrose Avenue and see nobody different than he sees me or you. pass the night with strangers and buy a round or two. If Jesus lived in Houston, he'd walk Montrose Avenue. Yeah, and he'd tell us that we need him and tell us that he loves us, and most would just ignore him and we'd go on with our lives. But he'd say this ground is holy because we're all walking on it, holy land that's worth enough to die. If Jesus lived in Houston, I knew he'd walk down mine. 'Cause heaven knows I need him all the time. Hell, he might even move in to help me walk the line. If Jesus lived in Houston, I know he'd walk down mine. If Jesus lived in Houston, I know he'd walk down mine.
Man, that's really good, Kyle. That's really cool.
Thank you so much.
That's a great song.
Thank you. It's my quirky little Jesus song. Really piss everybody off. Talk about hookers and gays and pot and Jesus. So I've got a really cool autographed guitar. Autographed by Bruce Robison right here. And I told you guys I was going to go to a pawn shop and find a really cool guitar. And I went to like 7 pawn shops in Bryan College Station. And there was not one cool guitar. Sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't. So this is a brand new Yamaha from Guitar Center.
You make it a cool guitar.
It's nice. I mean, it's actually a nice guitar. I played it. It sounds good. And we're going to give it away. Now, here's how this worked out. I mentioned to you my friends at Lake Walk and the Stella, Destination Bryan, that help us make the show possible, and our premier sponsor, Blue Forge Alliance. We also, like, if you like this denim shirt I have on, what do they call this? They call this a Canadian tuxedo or something like that. What do they call it? Where you're denim on denim, right? Okay. I got some really cool stuff over at Six Whiskey. And by the way, if you don't know the background on that name, Six Whiskey was the call letters for her grandfather's airplane, correct? So a lot of tradition and history over there. She had a store in Marfa for a long time. She's right over here. And Brian, that's my friend Bailey over there. And she's got, come here, Bailey, real quick. Just come up here. You got to draw. People went over, and listen, this is how painful. Look, when I ask you to do something, like, it's usually going to be painful. Tonight, it involved whiskey and chocolate. That's pretty painful, right? They went over, they sampled whiskey, they had some chocolate, and they put their name in that cool hat right there to win this guitar. So why don't you
I'll hold the hat.
draw
No,
a winner?
you get to draw.
Oh, there you go.
No, I think
Perfect.
you should draw.
No, you should draw.
All right.
I'll just be the pretty one holding the hat.
All right. Yeah.
Let's see who won the guitar.
All right. It is Brayley Edwards.
Where's Brayley Edwards?
All right.
Oh, come on up here, girl.
We've never met. Wonderful.
Congratulations. You are so welcome.
Way to go. There you go. Good job.
Yeah. Hey, good job
So,
for you. You
hey,
picked it.
thank you to everybody that came out. Bailey is, she is doing cool stuff in the community. She's got really cool shirts and, like, look, we all look really good in here. We would look better if we went and talked to Bailey. So just go do that, and she will help you up your game.
A
So
lot of people did. They're rocking their Six Whiskey looks.
come on, I knew some of them looked a lot
He
better than they
has
did
his
last
hat
time
on.
they came in here. I'm just kidding. Bailey, thank you for helping us make tonight possible. We appreciate you. All right. Man, okay, I'm going to ask you this, and I already said it, like I'm living vicariously through my friend Bruce here. But first off, I want to know, which one was your first George Strait cut? And what is it like as a songwriter to get a call that says the King just cut one of your songs?
Yeah, it's funny how that it, like when your family, you know, the Tim McGraw cut and some of the other things that happened, but it was funny how with Strait it was completely different. You know, I mean, that how your family and how your friends and whenever they do those, and then for me too, you know, in Bandera, golly, I mean, that's everybody dressed like George Strait, and they looked like George or tried to look like George Strait, and the music was everywhere. You know, I would say I always thought he was our Frank Sinatra, you know, because he had such amazing taste in the songs, and that was just the soundtrack of our lives growing up, you know. So it was totally crazy, and but Desperately was the first one that he cut, and yeah, it was just so otherworldly to hear that voice that I'd been hearing my whole life, you know, and which I would have loved to hear Willie sing one of my songs, but it didn't happen, you know. But that was such a crazy feeling to have George to hear sing one of the songs.
Will you play Desperately?
Yeah, sure, you bet.
Has anybody ever danced to this song before?
I was attempting to write a Don Williams song with this. Cool. I was. And I turned it in. I can remember that, how far outside of the mainstream I was, and the publishers that I worked with, and I remember turning this in, and I said, it sounded like a George, like a Don Williams song. And they're like, well, who should we pitch it to? And I said, Janie Fricke? I don't know. They were like, what? So thankfully, I didn't have a hand in how that stuff worked. So. Every night it's the same. I hear you calling my name. You're lying next to me. I give in to your charms. You disappear in my arms. I realize it's just a dream, but desperately I long to feel your touch. You left me all alone in love, but now I shake the sleep from my head. I try to crawl out of bed. Today is just another day. I make the coffee for one. I turn the radio on, pretend that everything's okay, but desperately I long to feel your touch, but you left me all alone in love. But now I watch the sun going down. There ain't nobody around. I feel the night in the breeze. I keep on telling myself I don't need nobody else, and I can do as I please. But desperately I long to feel your touch, but you left me all alone in love. But now desperately I long to feel your touch, but you left me all alone in love. But now every night it's the same. I hear you calling my name, but I still love you desperately. I still love you. I still want you, I love you desperately. Hey. Thank you. Thank you, George.
Yeah. Are y'all having a good time tonight?
I am.
Out there?
I sure am.
All right. Where do I go from here? So, okay, one of my other favorite songs of yours is "Rain, Louisiana."
Oh yeah, cool.
Tell me about that one.
Well, the Robisons are from Crowley, Louisiana.
Okay.
That's where the Robison that's still and my family they went to Kerrville because of my great uncle had tuberculosis, and back then there was no treatment for it, and you just kind of had to go where you felt better. And so my great uncle and Jimmy Rogers both moved to Kerrville for that same reason. And Jimmy Rogers is into his life because of tuberculosis in Kerrville as well. And but the Robisons are still in Crowley, Louisiana, and the last town you go through before you get there is Rain. And that my cousin would make a joke about driving through Rain before you get to Crowley, and so it just stuck in my head, and so. And then there was another one that kind of came from a guitar riff. And then me and Charlie sang this together. So long, Rain, Louisiana, and never see me no more. $100, 30 days in the slammer, I'd rather hit the road. I've found that I'm going crazy every day here the same. I'm bound to go to the city where nobody knows my name. How many days can I walk this road from the levee to the farm? Wake up every morning in the same old place, only the leaving is left and gone. It's all gone. So long, old New Orleans, nothing but a waste of time. Hot nights down in the quarter took me my last dime. I count the waves in the water just like an old drunk bomb. Deep down Mississippi River, where's that all come from? How many days can I spend in the shadows hiding from the sun? Waiting for the night to spend your money on a point that never comes. So long, New York City, my dreams are dead and gone. No heart, no damn pity, I believe I'm headed home. One time before I'm leaving, I'm gonna roll them dice. If it comes in, I got no worries, I lose my life. How many days can I spend in the middle of the black concrete and cars? I've been so cruel and cared so little about a man that comes so far. Oh. Come so far. So long, Rain, Louisiana, never see me no more. Man, you know I appreciate that. Thank you.
Such a great song.
Know all these songs. Thank you, Kyle.
Man, it's my pleasure.
Golly.
I told you. told these folks I wouldn't have believed I'd be sitting up here talking to you about your music.
Well, this is fun. This really is
great stuff. Again, I want to thank my friends at Blue Forge Alliance. I see a few of them singing along. We got some Bruce Robison fans here with Blue Forge Alliance tonight.
All right,
man. Thank you guys for putting money back into the community where you live and supporting culture. And I mean, songwriting and the lyrics that I would listen to on the records that I would spin when I was a kid. I think we would all say to some degree that music has helped us understand what we're feeling, right? How many times have you listened to something and went, oh man, that guy wrote that. That's exactly how I feel, right? I mean, music is that for us, you know? Mm-hmm. And so for you guys to step up and help us have a place where we can talk about that and really just continue that tradition, continue to hand that down. And there's people listening all over the world to this podcast, and we hear from them, and we love it. And so what you guys do tonight makes a difference. So thank you, Blue Forge, for helping us make this possible tonight. Let's give one more round of applause.
You gonna sing one?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to do the one. I would tell you there's a couple of times in my songwriting career where I felt like, you feel like yours was, a Tim McGraw cut and a George Strait cut. Mine was like, they were a little less mailbox money than those things that happened for you, but nonetheless important. And I found out, it was probably about a year ago, I guess now, that, first off, just let everybody know, Bruce has a recording studio in Lockhart, if I'm remembering that correctly, called The Bunker, and I've had the pleasure of being there several times, being involved in like some video production for some content that Bruce was producing. And he does some amazing stuff there through his series called The Next Waltz, and I'm getting that right. Correct?
Yeah.
So if you want to go check that out, go check out The Next Waltz. And Bruce curates a lot of original material from singer-songwriters. And one of the bands that he has really worked with is kind of a super group of young, I call them young.
Younger than us.
Younger than us.
Yeah.
I have people show up now on our show that we do at Do-Si Do, the younger guys, and I'm like, tell me about your influences. And they're like, well, Josh Abbott was a real big
Better get used to it, yeah.
I would call them a super group of young guys. John Bauman, who's a great songwriter, William Clark Green, Cleto Cordero of Flatland, and Josh Abbott. I mean, like the great band, they're called the Panhandlers. And so it was extremely cool and validating for me to get the phone call from Will Green that they had just cut a song that he and I had written at your studio at the Bunker called Last Hangover. And I'm not going to try to sing that one because nobody can sing that like Will. But I will try one that I wrote with one of the other members of that group, Cleto Cordero of Flatland. This, kind of one of those ones that's floating out there that I would hope he would help it, that it would find a home someday. We were talking, he and I were talking about, he's pretty road weary. They've been out doing a lot of shows.
They work hard, yeah.
And they're working hard and doing great. And if you don't know Flatland, God, I say it wrong every time. It's like Robison, Cavalry. Flatland. If you don't know them, go check them out. But they're doing great. He and I wrote this song. We were talking about him wanting to get back home to his wife, but like getting home, and because she's an artist, she's out too, and just kind of some of the lonely feelings that can set in. But then also just as a person of faith, and him as a person of faith, we were able to kind of connect to also the times where you don't feel as connected to everything that's out there, you know. So let me try to do this one. I got a black hole behind my shirt, rocket heartache gravitating like a failed rocket, brain fogging, hope stalling, feeling what it's like to be a raindrop falling, painting shades of gray across blue, sinking down, spinning around truth, falling through, falling back to you. Oh lover, I remember the sweet embrace of surrender. What I need is where you are. Heaven only knows why I run so far, painting shades of gray across blue, sinking down, spinning around truth, falling through, falling back to you. Falling through, falling back to you. I fight like hell to try and keep it in control, when all I need is to let go. Falling through, falling back to you. Falling through, falling back to you.
I hope they cut that.
I do too.
Man, that's really cool.
Thank you very much. All right, so then you get a second George Strait cut.
I did, yeah. Yeah.
You know, my grandpa would always say when I was hitting something with a hammer,
Right.
he'd say, even lightning strikes twice in the same place every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's like lightning striking twice in the same place.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, it sure was. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell
And
us.
that probably is the only it is a sad song, but it didn't feel like it. And so that was probably of the ones that I got cut, probably the one that I was like, maybe I'll get somebody to cut that song. You know, it has a little mid-tempo kind of thing, and it had a good chorus to it, and so that was the one. I wouldn't have thought that, you know, Anger All the Time or Traveling Soldier or any of those, they just didn't sound like hit songs to me at all. And but Wrapped, I was like, oh, that kind of has a thing about it, you know.
Yeah.
And but I didn't know that he would, and a bunch of people cut it before he did.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And but he plays it. He never plays Wrapped, but he plays Wrapped in his shows
Okay.
pretty frequently,
It
which
doesn't
is
play
just
desperately.
no, never has. And and I've got friends in his band, and okay, you know, a couple times they tell me, oh, he's playing it, and then a couple of years ago I got the word from John Michael Whitby.
Okay.
And he said, we're going to play it tonight. And I was like, I got a ticket and I went out there and just went down and stood in front of the stage and got to hear him sing my song, and that was the coolest thing, and just sing along with everybody else,
We're all living vicariously through you right now.
Man, that was really cool. Boom, boom. I didn't have to turn my head whenever you walked in. The only one to let these chills roll down my skin. My heart beats faster. I hear your name. I feel my confidence slipping away. If anybody wants to sing, here's easy. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and then I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger again. Boom, 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 boom. It feels like ages since you lay down in my arms. I see no good reason, but still I'm tangled in your charms. My God, you're smiling. You catch my eye. My heart is pounding deep inside. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and then I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger again. And walls look better in the bright daylight. My God, you're smiling. I call your name. I feel my confidence slipping away. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and then I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and then I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger again. Your finger again. Pretty lady, yeah, 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 yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Have y'all had a good time tonight?
I sure did.
Man, Bruce, thank you.
Oh man,
Thank you for
this is
taking
really
time.
wonderful. This is really a lot of
And-
fun. Thank you all for having me here. It's really, and thank you for putting this together,
It's
and
always
everybody
a pleasure.
again to support something like this. Golly, it really feels great to be able to play these songs for y'all and have y'all be so cool about it. That's really a neat thing. I wish there was something like this in every town, because there ain't. Trust me.
That's what makes us special.
Yep.
That's what makes Bryan, Texas special.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you guys for supporting what we do. Okay, well, I want to end. Man, some nights I feel like what I get to do could like best be described as song church.
Right?
That's what it feels like.
Right.
Like when it's quiet and everybody's listening,
Right.
and there's something happening. Like there's a feeling that's going through the room. And man, I want to tell you, we about, I guess it's been 8 years now since we adopted the 2 little girls that we have. And we adopted 2 little girls. I was adopted when I was a kid, and so for me it's a little bit of a pay it forward kind of thing. But we adopted 2 little girls that were in the foster care system, and one of them was a little older than the other one. And so that comes with what it comes with, and one of the things that they really, focus on is attachment when you're trying to help kids that aren't with their biological family and that kind of thing, and being able to feel stuff and talk about stuff and that sort of thing. And man, one day we were rolling down the road and Tara's playlist was on, and a song you wrote came on that just provided this huge opportunity for a conversation with the girls, because whatever it was they heard in it made them feel something that they then wanted to talk about. And this is at 10 years old and 7 years old, right? And so I'm going to say thank you in advance for writing the kind of song that makes people feel something, and something that gave my family the opportunity to have conversations. My dad was sent over to Vietnam pretty early in the war, and he had a bunch of buddies that didn't make it back, but he did. And you wrote a song called "Traveling Soldier" that the Dixie Chicks recorded. That I will, I don't know if proudly is the right way, but if you ask my girls what version of "Traveling Soldier" they want to hear, the Dixie Chicks or yours, they pick yours.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
and so I've always felt like there's something that comes from hearing the person that wrote it, that it came from them. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that song. It's given me the backdrop to have conversations with 2 little girls, not only about, probably because they relate to the piccolo player in the marching band, but on some levels. But man, their grandfather fought in Vietnam, and it's given us an opportunity to talk about that. But I wonder if you'd give us just, kind of as we're finishing up tonight, just a little backstory on that song, because I think it's a really special song. And then I wonder if you would close out the night playing that one for us.
I'd love to play it. And first off, thank you for saying that. That the types of songs, that had such an effect on me in my life, just in the best nights of your life and then your lowest times too, that I remember the songs that meant so much to me. And it's just beyond belief that one of my songs could be part of somebody's life that way. So it's about the best you could hope for, Yeah. And so thank you for saying that, number one. And it is a wonderful feeling to have one of your songs kind of find its way out there, This I was just writing songs secretly at this point. I didn't know how it would work or think about what a professional songwriter. I didn't know how any of that stuff worked, but I was working in a kitchen, and I was a fry cook. And during the lead up, not the second Gulf War, but the first one, Kuwait, whenever that was, and so the other kid that worked with me was in the reserve, and he was getting called up, and there was this long lead up for that military operation. It just took forever and ever and ever, and they were preparing people for a lot of casualties. And I was just and I was in even my mid-20s by then. So he was this kid who was going over there, and so it was kind of the first time that I sort of wrote a song to just sort of work on what was in my head at the moment, which I was worried about this nutty little kid, this goofy, young man who was afraid was going to go off and make this sacrifice that some people make. And so that was the backdrop to this, and then a melody line that was and I wasn't able to fit the lyric to it, so I just sang that in the song, but I wasn't able to put a lyric to it. But that was where it came from, and it's such a wonderful thing to see this song where it's gone to, and the people who have heard it. 2 days past 18, he's waiting for the bus in his army green. Sat down in a booth, a cafe there, gave his order to a girl with a bow in her hair. He's a little shy, but she give him a smile. He said, would you mind sitting down for a while and talking to me? I'm feeling a little low. She said, I'm off in an hour and I know where we can go. So they went down and they sat on the pier. He said, I bet you got a boyfriend, but I don't care. I got no one to send a letter to. Would you mind if I sent one back here to you? I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone when the letter says the soldier's coming home. Well, the letters came from an army camp in California, then Vietnam. He told her of his heart, how it might be love and all other things he was so scared of. He said, when it's getting kinda rough over here, I think of that day sitting down at the pier, and I close my eyes and see your pretty smile. Don't worry, but I won't be able to write for a while. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone when the letter says, my soldier's coming home. One Friday night at a football game, the Lord's Prayer said and the anthem sang. The band said, folks, would you bow your head for the list of local Vietnam dead? Crying all alone under the stands was a piccolo player in the marching band, and one named Red, and nobody really cared but a pretty little girl, bow in her hair. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone when the letter says, my soldier's coming. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy. Too young for him, they told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again. Never more to be alone when the letter says, my soldier's coming home. Oh. Yeah, that's such a wonderful time tonight. Thanks for letting me play some songs for you. It was really wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bruce Robison.
Thank y'all.
Wow, really fabulous, my friend.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful.
Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. We will be back in June with my buddy, Mr. Sundance Head. Do not miss that show. We can't wait to see you again. Y'all be safe going home tonight. We'll see you next month.